Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric. I will be taking you through this class of today. Today is our lesson 4. And in our lesson 4, our main topic will be starting small businesses. Now, what are the main specific objectives that we are going to learn in this particular module? So in this particular lesson, we will be able to learn that by the end of this lesson, we need to be able to be in a position to describe the procedure of starting a small business. We must be able to learn how to start a small business. Number 2, we need to be in a position to explain the factors to be considered when starting small businesses. By the end of this lesson, we will also be in a position to describe the different legal forms of business ownership in Kenya. Also, we will be in a position to explain the challenges that one faces when starting a small business and how to navigate through the challenges. Similarly, by the end of this lesson, we will be in a position to describe business life cycle of various forms of business. And also, we should be in a position to outline the regulations affecting businesses and also the business support services available for small businesses. Thank you and welcome to this class. Now, what is the procedure of starting a small business? So as we said that the main theme of this particular training is to actually empower our people during this COVID period. Some of them are starting business and others, their business have been affected by this COVID condition. Now, if you are starting, for example, a business, you have been in employment, or you have decided that let me now start a business, where exactly do you start? What exactly do you need to have in place for you to start your business? So, the first thing to do is that ensure that you have a balance between the business idea and the aspiring entrepreneur. So what it means is that you must strike a balance between that business idea that you want to start and the aspiring entrepreneur. What are you capable of doing? You are not going to start a business that mostly you are not able to run. So in this case, what is important is that you must be in a position to understand your capabilities. What is your talent? What is your area of training, for example? What are you able to do at that particular time before you even start that business? Number 2, you need to understand the source of the funds that you're going to use to start your business. So in this case, very important to know, where am I going to get the funding from? Because maybe some of you have been laid off, or someone is starting a business, but maybe he had not saved much to start a business. So what are going to be your sources of finance? Also, choose a business model, the name of your business, and the location of your business. That is very important. Because if I want to start, for example, a business of maybe a butcher, I want to see, where am I going to locate my business? Where is the business going to be located? What is the name of my business that I've chosen? And which model of business am I going to use? Obtain the license, that is the business license. Always remember, it is important that when you are starting your business in Kenya, you need to have a license. And also, once you get a license, also try to look at if there are any other legal requirements which are required in your specific business. And next is to always make sure that you check if that particular business has a market in that particular area. So try to estimate the market size so that you can be able to see if your business is going to attract as many people as possible. Protect the business with a copyright if it's a business that that needs to be copyrighted, or the trademarks you are using, you can also protect them so that somebody else cannot be able to copy your business. Also, look at how you are going to manage your cash flows. How are you going to manage the cash flows? If you need, for example, to record your daily spendings, the daily income generation, always get the books for recording, and also understand well the tax implication of your business, so that you can be able to know exactly that when I start this business, I will be expected to pay these tax deductions and other critical financial issues. The next thing is that use the existing technologies so that you can be able to handle the details of your business well. So you can check on which are existing technologies in the business that I want to start. Which one is going to assist me? For example, you want to start a cyber business, but you even don't know where the internet cable can be obtained from, which type of internet you are going to use. So you must be able to understand the available technologies. You need to understand where you are going to look at the various infrastructural facilities which are in place to support you in terms of achieving the objectives. Always evaluate your business idea before you start and monitor your daily activities so that you can be able to do your business well. So that is exactly the simple procedure that you need to understand before you start a business. The next thing I want us to cover is the types of capital financing. Now, once you've checked the procedures, how are you going to finance your business, which is very important, because in the country nowadays, if you tell any person to start a business, even somebody who has been maybe working for a long time, starting a business has not been easier to most of us. Most people will get to start the business or will want to start the business, but the limiting factor has always been the capital. So how are you going to get that capital? So in introduction, I want us to say that the three major types of financing include: one, you can get what we call short-term capital; two, you can get the early stage capital; and three, you can get the long-term capital. So all these are the three types of major financing to your business. So what do we mean by short-term capital? So when we talk about short-term capital, this is a type of capital where the funds are borrowed in less than 1 year. For example, I want to start a business. I approach my friend. I tell him, I want to start this business and I want you to support me. And my friend decides to give me 50,000, 100,000 so that I can be able to start a business and I can be able to return the money later. So in this case, that particular fund all capital is what we call short term, because he has given me the money, but I'm not going to stay with it for more than 1 year. So in most cases, you tell your friend, give me some money, I will be able to refund in 2 or 3 months. So that one becomes a short-term type of finance. So in this case, you find that it is used when companies have expended their initial capital. For example, you are starting a business, you had a saving, and you have used all your saving in putting your business in place. And once you do that, now you can be able to get a short-term kind of capital from somewhere so that you can be able to complete your business idea. So many business owners often overlook the need for this type of capital. Why? Because some of them feel like it is not good or it's not right to borrow from maybe a friend or a bank or somewhere so that I can be able to start my business. So it is very important that you can be able, in most cases, short-term capital You'll find that if it is borrowed, some of them maybe will lend you without even asking for an interest. So it will be a good kind of financing because it will assist you to put your business in place. Also, if this expense is not factored in into the monthly budget, the small business owner will fall short of finance. Because if you have borrowed and you have said that you will be able to return, so therefore you must be able to factor in this kind of expense so that once you start running your business, you will be able to start saving for returning that particular money, or maybe that it's a person who can be able to give you so that you can be able to repay in small installments. You can be able to slot in what you are going to pay every month. So this one, they just say that it is one of the most popular forms of financing, and most of our businesses, most people start from here. So that is the short-term capital. And when we talk about the early stage capital, this one is referred to as what we call the intermediate capital. In this one, these are funds which are to be paid back within a period of 5 years. So these ones, in most cases, they come in when the business has already been established and it is already doing well. And in this case, you have some financial records to be able to back up your particular need for capital. So in this case, you can get that particular debt or that particular capital so that you can be able to repay within a period of between 1 year and 5 years. So this is where mostly the bank loans lie, where you get a bank loan, and in this case, they can be able to finance you for your idea, and then you can be able to repay slowly for the next like 1 to 5 years, depending on the agreement that you make with your bank. So that is what we call the early stage capital. So meaning that in most cases it finances the expansion of your business. This is why if you go to a bank and you tell them that I want to get a loan to start a business, most banks will not invest in a startup. But once you start your business and you approach the bank for expansion, you will get that it will be easier for them to finance you because they can be in a position to be able to track your expenses. How is your expenses? How high is your what you generate daily, the income, and what is your capability of repaying the loan, and what is the potential of your business to grow or to scale. So in most cases, when you have the potential of growing that particular business, you are likely to even get more finances. So for example, a business owner may decide to construct an addition or an existing structure. So projects such as this one, they require large amount of capital, and in most cases, when you find that they require more capital than you require, you may be able to support that particular business. You may actually opt to go for a short-term loan to finance this, and your bank can always negotiate on the time that you're going to take to repay. Then there is also what we call the long-term capital. Long-term, from the name, it suggests that it takes a long time. And long-term capital always covers those long-term projects where your project is expected to run for a longer time. And in this case, usually it is longer than 5 years. So you take some capital from somewhere, for example, expensive machinery, and maybe it's a franchise financing for businesses which require a large capital outlay. So once you put that and you are able to get a large sum of money and you put into the business, the people who finance you for this long-term capital, in most cases you may find that they can wait for a longer time so that you can be able to repay, meaning that that particular repayment can be spread over a longer period of time. And in this case, if the business is very much productive, The business is going to assist you to repay the loan. So actually what we mean is that even in most industries, if you go there, you will find that some of the industries are still repaying the loans that they took to put in the machineries in place. So what we mean here is that as a business entrepreneur, you must be able to understand that capital or the starting capital may be difficult, but once you start your business, you will be able to secure financing if your idea is viable. Mostly, you will find that it will be very difficult for people to finance a startup. And that is why I always advise as an entrepreneur, when you have a need or when you have a vision that one day you will start a business, start saving slowly for that particular business. Because if you yourself, you are not in a position to invest something into your business, how else would you want somebody to invest in your business without you putting your money? That is why such kind of capital, you find that in most cases, they will come to develop an idea that you've already started. So, what are some of the capital requirements? So, capital requirements are well-prepared assessment of capital needs and the source of an essential step for a business owner. So, meaning that you must do your capital need analysis in your business. For example, if you go to a bank and tell them, I want to start a business, and this business is going to require this amount of capital, the first thing they will ask you, how much or what are you going to put in place? Where are you going to spend the money? So you must be able to do what we call the capital needs analysis. Then once you do the capital needs analysis, you identify the relationship between the working capital, the fixed assets need, and the cash flow, what you need to run your company every single day. Sometimes it is confusing, but it is always important to understand from the onset that I will require this much for installing the facilities in place. I will require this much to maintain the stock, and I will require this much to run my day-to-day operations. So after the entrepreneur overlooks the need to translate the plan into a business, you find that as a result, the business owner must be able to understand the current needs of that particular organization. You must be able to understand that so that you can be able to plan well in terms of finance. The entrepreneur should ask these three basic questions before initiating a search for capital. You must ask yourself the first question: how much capital would I need to start this business? How much capital do I need? For example, you want to start a business right now, maybe during this COVID period, because maybe the job you are working on has been stopped, or maybe the project you are working on is no longer existing because of the COVID, and now you decide to start a business. That is the first question you'll ask yourself: what amount of capital I need to start? Then number two, what type of capital do I need? Yeah, because some of these types of capital, each of them has different regulations, has different conditions, and therefore you must understand which type of financing or which type of capital do I need. Then where can I go for the funds? That is very important for you to understand where you can be able to get the funding. So there are traditional sources of venture capital, as you all know, that in most cases, when you start a business, traditionally, most people will seek equity from maybe places like, for example, as we have said, from friends. You can seek from relatives, you can seek maybe from your partners, so that you can be able to generate the income that is required, the financing that is required to start a business. And that is why you will find that some other people, if you don't have enough money, some of them can opt for a partnership so that you can be able to pull together the funds so that you can be able to start a business. So in this case, those traditional forms where you get the money from friends, you get the money from relatives, you get the money from your saving. These ones are very important because most of them are not as costly as maybe the loans or the commercial loans could be. So in that case, you can be able to use that to start a business. Then there is also what we call seed financing. Seed financing is actually a point where small business owners has saved a small amount of money, which is referred to as what we call the ownership capital or the seed financing. So in this case, you take the small money that you've saved, you put it in the business, and now you start working on it so that it can be able to generate more income for you. And once you start getting the profit, you can be able to refinance your business, or you plow back the profit so that you can be able to grow your business. So the initial investment amount of an owner that has saved to start a business is what we refer to as the seed capital. Now, usually this amount of capital is too small to start a successive venture, but it is important for you to have that money. Because I remember when I started a business, I actually went from bank to bank because I wanted to see if I can be able to get funding. But I can tell you for a fact that when you do not have a business that is running, it might be very difficult even your friends to fund you. They will want to see that you have a business that is running so that they can be able to fund an idea that they very much understand. So, guys, if you want to maybe start a business during this time, it is important that at least you are able to mobilize your funds. So that if you had no saving, always try to get some funding from your friends, from your relatives, from your parents, if they can be able to support you to start a business. Now, next is on what we call partnerships. In partnerships, many business ventures are started with one or more partners. And the main aim of doing this is to actually come together so that you can be able to pull the resources together. You can also pull together the expertise. For example, when you start that partnership, various people come together with different levels of expertise, and they can be able to start that particular business. So once they start the business, the most important advantage here is if you start a business that is estimated to cost 200,000 and you are 3 or 5, you can be able to distribute that money amongst yourself. And in the beginning, that particular money, that particular business, the 3 of you or the 5 of you will be in a position to actually share the risk. In that, if the business does not peak immediately, not one person is going to suffer a lot, but all of you are going to have that risk distributed. But once you start that particular business, now we will discuss the forms of that business when we'll be discussing about the advantages and disadvantages of the partnerships in the future. That is in the next 2 or 3 subtopics. But it is important to understand that when you start this partnership, you must have a written agreement which lists all the duties and responsibilities of each partner before you start your business. Because some people start a business in a partnership without any written document or an agreement, and then within 1 or 2 months, they have already run into problems and the business is already staggering. And therefore, it is very important for you to ensure that your business agreement is written so that you can be able to run the organization or that particular business effectively. Some partners can be listed as limited partners, and others can just be passive partners. So always understand the type of partners that you are running with, so that if that particular partner has told you that, for example, I will provide the capital, but I will not be involved in the daily running of the business, always come up to an agreement that how would you get compensation for the capital that you've invested into the business. So it is important that once you do that, that particular partner, you understand that this partner will not be running the organization in a day-to-day business, but he will be entitled for the profit. And therefore, you will be able to ask, which rate are we going to use to repay or to pay this particular partner his profit or her profit. However, it's important to understand also that in terms of a business that is in partnership, decisions are usually made together as a partnership, so that each and every one of you can read from the same page, so that you don't run into problems as soon as you start that particular business. Now, the other source of financing is commercial banks, as we have already said. Commercial banks right now in Kenya, we have so many commercial banks, and in most cases, each and every one of them have a different product for entrepreneurs. So always before you go to any bank, it is important to check what product they have for entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs. You will find that different branches or different banks have different products. So choose the one which is most suitable for you or for your partnership, because some of them offer loans which are at a higher interest rate, while the others have a lower interest rate for maybe entrepreneurs. So it's important that you understand your banker before you even actually decide to use their products for developing your business. So commercial banks are banks that receive funds for depositors and they rent the funds to the businesses. Contrary to what many entrepreneurs believe about commercial banks, financing, that is the commercial banks financing, banks do offer limited source, and when initial capital is needed, they can actually be able to do what? To offer, so long as that particular idea is viable. But in most cases, as I've told you from experience, you will find that most banks will find businesses that are already going on, meaning that they will have to wait until you start, and then they can be able to gauge the viability of your business through the flow of income as you actually get. So banks usually use what we call securities, so that you can be able to secure a loan. So you can be able to get a security, for example, an asset which can be able to stand in for you, so that you can be able to get a loan. Other banks also require that you have a guarantor who is going to guarantee that you will repay the loan. And if in case you fail to repay the loan, they will be able to assist the bank in terms of repaying the loan that you took. So commercial banks may offer both short-term and long-term loans, depending on the stage of your business. So in most cases, when the business is small, they usually give you a short-term loan, and as the business grows, they can be able to advance you to a long-term loan, where you can service the loan for a longer time, and you can also have better terms in terms of your interest rates. So that is exactly what we mean by commercial banks in terms of capital raising for your business. Then another form of raising the capital is the sale of the capital stock, meaning that once you start your business, you can be able to raise extra capital by selling some stocks in your business. So the sale of stock as a device for raising capital is not limited to large businesses only. You can be able to raise capital using this form of capital raising, because once you sell some part of your business to maybe some entrepreneurs or some investors, they can be able to actually assist you to raise more capital that will assist you to do what? To maybe scale up your business, so that you can be able to get the profit that you need. So capital stock or ownership shares are important, that once you sell some part of the business, you now have more than one owners who claim profit from that business. You must reach an agreement on how you are going to compensate them on their money invested. It is very important for you to understand that. That's why you find that in most of our businesses or our limited companies, they have a provision that you can buy some shares from that particular company, even if you are not part of the directors of that particular company, so that you can be able to put money into that business. When it makes a profit, you also get interest on that particular profit. You can be able to get actually money in form of shares from that particular company. So that is also another way of doing it. So as a small business, maybe if you can be able to organize that, it will be important for you to raise capital through that. But always be very, very careful so that you do not sell the whole of your company and it leaves you as an outsider and you are the owner of the business. So always try to look at what can I sell for what percentage, yeah, so that you can be able to retain control of your organization. So always, when you have such an idea, always make sure that you are able to control that. The next one is what we call the venture capital companies. And the venture capital companies, these are companies which usually invest in small businesses, and they can be able to supply you with whatever that you require so that they can be able to grow your business. So they venture into small businesses or small entrepreneurship or enterprises. Once they venture there, they fund you so that you can be able to take your business to the higher level. So in this case, what happens is that the funds are invested in new or higher risk enterprises, and usually the return for an equity position is usually shared, so you can be able to share with the companies which have invested. So venture capital firms are a good source of capital for businesses which demonstrate the potential of rapid growth. Maybe assuming you've started a venture of a business in one area, but the business has the potential of growing into maybe all the counties in Kenya, and you are not able to fast track, or you are not able to actually provide the capital that is going to grow the business rapidly. So in this case, once you approach the venture capitalists, you tell them about the idea and you tell them this idea can be able to generate this much. Some of them will be very much willing to invest in your business so that you can be able to scale as fast as possible. And once you scale, it will be able to have the return on the invested capital, and you can be able to refund that particular money to the venture capitalist. So it is very important for you to understand that. So since these investors have a large stake in that particular business, management counseling is always available from them. So because you are a small entrepreneur,